Welcome all of you. I am Durgesh Kumar Pandey and today's your topic is fundamental duty. Class, in my this period I am going to explain about fundamental duty. You know that in 1976 by 42th Amendment, our Indian Constitution adopted a fundamental duty, and this fundamental duty was added in our Indian Constitution in 1976 by 42th Amendment. Students, in my previous class, I was explaining about some fundamental duties. You know, in the original constitution at the starting in 1976, there was only 10 fundamental duties was added and 11th after some time by amendment. Okay, the total 11 duties are in the fundamental duties list. So in my previous class I was already I was explaining about 5 fundamental duty. Now come on the 6 fundamental duties. It shall be the duty of every citizen to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Means it is the duty of every person to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Means each Indian should be respect their rich heritage and composite culture. You know, India is a multicultural countries, and they have a prosperous heritage. Okay, so we should be respect these heritage and composite culture of our India. Now next 7 fundamental duties is to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creature. Okay class, so in next fundamental rights, like in 7, to protect and improve the natural environment, it shall be the duty of every Indian to preserve the natural environment, and it shall be the duty of every Indian to protect the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to compassion for living creatures. Means this is the duty of every citizens to aware for living creatures, and it should be the duty of every person to protect and improve the natural environment, which include forest, river, lakes, and wildlife, etc. Now class, come on the next fundamental duties, to develop the scientific temper. It shall be the duty of every Indian to develop a scientific temper among the people, and humanism and a spirit of inquiry and reform. It shall be the duty of every person to improve the scientific temper in Indians, and it shall be the duty of every citizen to respect the humanitarian ideas and develop the spirit of inquiry and reform among the society. And the next one is to safeguard public property and to observe violence. Means it shall be the duty of every person to safeguard the public property. It shall be the duty of every Indian to safeguard the public property and avoid the violence in our country. And the 10th fundamental duty to strive toward excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher level of endeavor and achievements. Means it shall be the duty of every Indian to give their best in all sphere of the life. It shall be the duty of every citizens to they perform their best in all aspects of the life, and they individually and collectively they work so that the power of the country, the level of endeavor and achievements will improve, will grow. Means we achieve new things, we grow continuously, and that is the duty of every citizens to work collectively for growth of our nation. Next one, 11th fundamental duty. 11th fundamental duty was added very later as a it shall be the duty of every parents to give education to their childs which age is between 6 to 14 year. Okay, so it shall be the duty of every citizens to give as a parents to give education to their child. This is 11 fundamental rights. This is 11 fundamental duties which was added in our Indian Constitution very later. So there are total 11 fundamental duties in our Indian Constitution, and this was added in 1976 and 11th very later. Okay class, so we can say in small rights and duty both are the two side of a same coin. If you have a right, then you have also the duty, and if you are perform your duty very well, then you also have a authority to take the rights. So right and duty both are the two side of the same coin. Okay, if any person want right, they should follow their duties for a nation. Welcome students, I am Durgesh Kumar Pandey, and your next topic is right to property. Okay class, you know that this right to property was a part of our Indian Constitution till 1978. It was the part. In our original Constitution, there was 7 fundamental rights, and in our original Constitution provide us right to property. But in 1978, by 44th Amendment, okay class, in 1978 by 44th Amendment, this right to property was abolished in the list of fundamental rights. Okay class, means our government make the law and remove this right to property from the list of fundamental rights, and now this right to property was now a legal right under the article 308. Okay class, under the Article 300A, Article 3 under the Article 300A, this is now only a legal rights. Okay, class. Here we are going also discuss about what was the region and what are the matter behind the right to property. After the independent, right to property was the part of our Indian constitution, and our after the independent, our government was trying to make some work for the development of society or development country, and sometimes the government faced that the peoples were not giving their resources or property for the development of society. So it become a problem. Right to property was become problem. Government cannot do any public welfare work. Government cannot take the lands and assets of peoples because right to property provide the protection as a fundamental right to every citizens. So government was not able to perform welfare work of society because right to property. People not give their personal property, land or assets for the development of society. So our constitution and the peoples have a great dispute. About this, the Keswanand Bharti case. This was a long dispute between Kerala government and the Keswanand Bharti, and in 1973, a bench of some judges gave a big decision that the right to property was not a part of our basic structure of Indian constitution. Okay, in 1973, the Supreme Court was declared that right to property was not a part of our basic structure. That is why it will be possible to change the right to property because this is not a basic structure. Okay, so it should be changed. It will be amendment by the procedure. Okay, तो मतलब राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि दिस इज नॉट द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ आवर इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इसलिए इसमें जो है चेंज पॉसिबल है और इसको हटाया जा सकता है. ठीक है. और फिर उसके बाद देन 1978 बाय द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ जनता पार्टी वाज बाय द 44th अमेंडमेंट सरकार ने जो है राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी को फंडामेंटल राइट की लिस्ट से हटा दिया बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. Student, first you know what is the basic structure of our Indian constitution. What do you mean by basic structure? Students, our Indian constitution say that the basic structure means if you are looking the preamble, you look some words like equality, justice, liberty, and fraternity. These are the some principle and these are the some basic features. Like India is a sovereign country, secular, socialist, republic, democratic. These are the words which are the basic structure of our Indian constitution. And in 1973, after the hearing of Keswanand Bharti case, the government was saying that the कि राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी जो है इसके ऊपर डिस्प्यूट पे जब सुनवाई हो रही थी, तो फर्स्ट टाइम द सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाज यूजिंग द वर्ड बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर. ओके, मीन्स you understand what do you mean by basic structure? Like a right to vote, equality, justice. These are the basic structure. And the Supreme Court was saying कि there was some basic structure of our Indian Constitution and it will not possible to change. मतलब कि हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के कुछ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर हैं जिसमें बदलाव पॉसिबल नहीं है. मीन्स गवर्नमेंट कैन डू अमेंडमेंट, सरकार अमेंडमेंट कर सकती है लेकिन सीमित उन हिस्से को नहीं बदल सकती जो बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर है. अदर पार्ट में चेंजेस पॉसिबल है बट इट विल नॉट पॉसिबल टू चेंज इन द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ आवर इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. सो दिस वाज अ बिग जो है इन्वेंशन ऑफ आवर जुडिशरी to give the concept of basic structure of our Indian Constitution, and this means our Indian Constitution some rigid. Our Constitution is rigid, means it is not easy to change the parts of our Indian Constitution. Parliament have a power to change the Constitution, but they have a power at the limited level. Okay, Parliament not have a unlimited power to change the Constitution. Parliament can change only some part of the Constitution which is not the basic structure, and the parts of the Indian Constitution which is a basic structure, so there was not possible to change. Parliament cannot change the parts of basic structure of our Indian Constitution. Okay, to class now when in original constitution there was 7 fundamental rights, but after the removing of right to property, now there was only 6 fundamental rights remaining in our constitution. You know class, with the time, day by day, the idea of fundamental rights was enhanced by the judiciary. Sometimes judiciary was explain some new ideas like right to life, right to livelihood is possible when right to health, right to work. So these are a necessary part of right to life, because if you have a right to livelihood, then it will be possible to right to life. So right to health, you have a right to live in a peaceful environment, you have a right to live in a pollution free environment. These are the some new explanation of our judiciary which are added in like right to life. Okay class. Okay class, your next topic is directive principle of state policy. You know, in our Indian Constitution, in Part 4, directive principles of state policy are available, and this is from Article 36 to 51. Okay class, in our Indian Constitution Part 4 and Article 36 to 51. You know class, Articles 37 we see about the directive principle of state policy. First thing is, this is not justiciable, means there is some guidelines for the states. There are some duty of the state and these duties like a guidelines for the state by our Indian Constitution. But if the states are not perform they not doing this, they not follow this guidelines, so no one can go court against the state. Okay, this is the meaning of non-justiciable. Means if directive principle of the state policy are the guidelines for state by the constitution, but if the state government is not following the guidelines, no one can go in the court against the state कि राज्य ऐसा नहीं कर रहा है. No one can go in the court. So this one explained by the article 17, and similarly article 18 is saying the welfare of the peoples. State should be adopted a policy, and their objective was, the objective of the state was to welfare of people and social, economical, and provide justice for the people. These are the some guidelines. These are the objectives for the state to provide the social, economical, and political justice to the people. And there are some also goals of directive principle of state policy for the state is promotion of international peace. These was the objectives of the directive principle of state policy. So students, first you know what are the objectives of this directive principle of state policy. The state our constitution provide the guidelines for the state. Our constitution decided the objective for a state. Objective is the welfare of people. Means राज्य लोगों के लिए कल्याणकारी कार्य करेगा. The welfare of people. This is the objective of their directive principle of state policy by our constitution. कि welfare for people, social, economical, and justice, political justice for the people. These are the goal or objective of this directive principle of state policy by our Indian constitution. And similarly our government was many times follow this policy. Our government was adopted so many policy to achieve the goal like a welfare state. Our government adopted so many policies like minimum wages act. They removed the jamidari pratha. They midday meal scheme in the school, and so many reform in our society was done by our government. And our government adopted a policy to got the objective of this directive principle of state policy. And you know so many new things like starting promotion of village panchayat. This was the objective of directive principle of state policy, and our government was adopted a plan. Our government was arranged an amendment in our Indian constitution, and in 1992 our Indian government adopted the Panchayati Raj Act in the rural area. And similarly in the cities, municipal corporation and municipal committee was established. So directive principle of state policy are the guidelines for the state, and it shall, if any person is unable to take the lawyer in the court, so our government provide them a lawyer for their defense. And it is the duty of state to conserve the environment. It is the duty of state provide the employment, provide the education, health facility for the people, and that is why our government was following this guidelines, and our government was also adopted the policy like midday meal in the school, free of cost education for the students, Nishulk Shiksha Yojana, and the right to education is a fundamental rights for students, and the education for 6 to class 6 to up to 8 means the age group between 6 to 14 are got the education free of cost.